Okay, Michael, if you can put the conditioner into the orange bowl, please, if you just decant enough of the product to be able to condition this small steel plate. That's perfect, and if you put the lid back on immediately so that we keep the product and ensure that there isn't any spillage of the product. You'll see that Michael is actually using a brush, and the brush is a cut down brush. We've actually removed the top of the bristles to ensure that we can stipple the product into the pre-prepared mild steel plate. Now, the important thing about the conditioner is to use as little product as possible. You don't want any excess product on the substrate, in this case the mild steel plate. So you can also see Michael is removing any hairs from the brushes that would contaminate the surface, so those all have to be removed. So we can put that over there, Michael, just to allow that to dry. That will take, in the current conditions, about 30 minutes to dry before we can overcoat. If we now move on to the rubber substrate, which is more commonly used in things like conveyor belt systems, this is the damage here to the belt. We've removed the rubber around the belt in order that we can repair this damage. But unlike the steel, before we apply the conditioner, we must roughen the surface, so we must roughen the rubber. This is a roughing tool that is supplied by Belzona, and this tool only works in one direction. So if you were to scrape it that way, you will not cut rubber. However, if you were to scrape it this way, you will cut into the rubber. And it's like hundreds of fine little sharp Stanley blades biting into the rubber. And what you can hopefully see is that the surface has been roughened. You then remove any excess rubber so that you don't contaminate the surface. Now, we're not, for the purposes of this demonstration, we're not actually going to condition this area. We're going to condition this small area here, just to let you see what the product looks like on the rubber. So if I could ask Michael again to take a small amount of product and load in the brush and then scrub it into the surface. Very, very important that we scrub it into the surface. And if I could just take the brush for a minute, Michael, and just give you a hand here, because what we want to do is we want to get this product going as far as we possibly can. Yep. So even that small amount of product that is on the brush is going to do a relatively large area. And the thinner the product is on, the better the adhesion. That completes the preparation of the substrate using the roughing brush and using the Belzona, in this case 2911 QD conditioner, QD standing for quick drying conditioner. So we now have to leave that 30 minutes. It's just worth mentioning at this moment that if you were to put excess conditioner on the rubber, particularly rubber, you will see this effect, and it's almost like a crust. Yeah? And that is the worst thing. The crust becomes brittle, and we're looking for a flexible repair, which means that we would create a weakness in the bond line. So it is very, very important that we put on the conditioner as thinly as possible. Yeah? Quite often people refer to it as, imagine that you pay for this yourself, and if you pay for it yourself, you use less. That's exactly what you want. Okay, so the conditioner is now dry. It's dry to the touch. And that is exactly the perfect condition then to apply the Belzona elastomer over the top. Yeah? However, this has been the damage on the conveyor belt, and you can see where there's been a sharp piece of aggregate went through the belt, and there is the potential for this belt to continue to tear. So the Belzona repair will allow us to ensure that that doesn't tear. So we have excavated the rubber around it, and the way that we've done that is cut in with a Stanley blade, and we've actually then taken the lip of the rubber and then just cut away to the point that what we've got is now a nice clean area to apply the product. It is important to realise that this area would be conditioned similar to this, but for the purposes of this training video we're going to go straight on to it. So it would be conditioned before we apply the elastomer. The next stage then is to create a boundary, and Michael is going to then mask around the area that's been prepared, and that ensures that we keep the Belzona to the area of the repair. Okay, so the next thing is, now that we've masked it and we've created a boundary area, what we now want to do is add some strength back into the repair. Because we've actually removed rubber, we want to put not just the rubber back in, but we want to put some additional strength back into the repair. So the way that we do that is we dry fit a piece of Belzona reinforcing sheet to ensure that it fits into the cavity that we've created. Now, that looks perfect, so we can remove that, and that will form part of the repair of the belt. So the next stage of this application is to make sure that we, as the application technicians, have all the relevant tools to do the job. Because the product we're going to be using is very fast curing, and we won't have enough time to search for these tools during the application. So we have 2 applicators, 2 spatulas, a mixing board, and a cut down brush. And just make sure that before you use the brush that you remove any bristles. Quite often what you can do is just use the adhesive in the back of a sticky tape to remove it, to make sure that you're not putting any bristles into the repair, which could create a wick and therefore a weakness in the repair. The product we're going to use in this particular case is called Belzona 2311, and it's called SR elastomer. The SR stands for super rapid. This product is a 1-to-1 mix, so it's one part to one part. When we mix them together, they will react and begin to cure. And you will get approximately 3 to 4 minutes under the current conditions here, which is about 15 degrees. Right, so the next stage is to actually open the product. And the easiest way to do that is just take a standard Stanley knife, and there is a small seam across the top of the product, and then all you do is cut about 10 centimetres down from it. So you do that with the base component, and just using your thumb and your 4 fingers, just press away the product from the seam. And again, about 1 centimetre from the top. And then the best way to remove the product from the sachet is take the flat edge of the spatula, position it at the bottom of the sachet, move the product on, then pick up the sachet with your left hand, if you are left-handed of course, and then remove all the product so as you do not get any wastage. Do exactly the same with the solidifier. Just press the product at the bottom of the sachet, and then take the flat edge of the spatula and then grab with your left hand and remove the product, which you can see is a totally different colour, which is black. And again, you'll get all the product out. That is you ready to start mixing. The next stage of the application is to mix the product and apply it to the damaged area of rubber. So we'll now get the two components measured out onto the board. Immediately we start mixing them, we've got 2 to 2.5 minutes to apply the product. So we'll need to repair the damage here. We'll need to impregnate the elastomer into the reinforcing sheet, bed that into the damaged area, and then overcoat the whole area with the remaining product that's on the board. We've got one other little tool that we didn't mention earlier, which is just a small piece of flat plate. That piece of flat plate will be used to draw over the repair to remove the excess Belzona and then complete the application. Okay, so let's now mix the product. So the easiest way to mix the material is use the full area of the board and use like a figure of 8. We'll lift the product off the board each time, ensuring that you get it thoroughly mixed. Now the clock will be ticking on this particular application because it is a very fast curing material. Keep the product as thin as you can on the board, just to extend the working life. If you keep it in a large mass, you'll reduce the working life. Remove any of the product off the spatula, back into the main mixing area, and so at this point the product is now mixed and ready to apply. I'll just quickly change to a clean spatula. We'll repair the damaged area here. We're pressing the product into the damaged area. Lay down the spatula. Take the brush. Ensure that you wet out the areas that are a bit more difficult to get into with the bristles of the brush. Apply the whole around there. Take your reinforcing sheet, just leave a tongue hanging out the end. Apply the product into here. Take your applicator, there. Pick up the area that is uncoated. Lay that down as accurately as you can into the damaged area. Take the spatula, then with the remainder of the product on the board, fill the remaining area of the cavity. See, we've got a small area there that needs filling up a bit further, so we'll just do that. Remove the spatula, the applicator along. One more time, just to make sure we've got enough product actually in the repair. And just take the steel plate, which won't bend or flex when you apply it, and then if you just remove that gently across the surface, drawing off the excess, and just at this point you must remove the masking tape, or it will be very difficult to remove it after. And what you have is a perfect repair.